6 minutes to go. The Eagles make it happen tonight. Boston Scott with the 18-yard touchdown reception after the Eagles getting the ball back with 2 minutes and 8 seconds to go. The Eagles win 22-21, and my heart is in my throat, everybody. Welcome to the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh. I'm Amy Campbell, joined by Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. And guys, every week we sit in here and we watch the game and we are very restless, wondering what is going to happen as the Eagles have a chance to win today. They get the win. Ike, let me start with you. How are you feeling, my friend?
Well, you know how I am, Amy and Fran. I basically have woke up all the dogs in the house. The kids are awake now because the end of that game, I could not contain my excitement. What a roller coaster ride this game was. I mean, it started off looking like the Eagles were going to be able to do what they wanted to do offensively and defensively. And then in typical fashion for the 2020 Philadelphia Eagles, there was a stall in between the second, third, and middle of that fourth quarter. But then they pull out a dramatic win. You just mentioned it, Amy, going down by 11 points with a little over 6 minutes to go. Giants had just driven 97 yards, what looked like a back-breaking drive, touchdown drive for the Giants. Man, what resilience this offense, Carson Wentz. I mean, man, being led by this kid after struggling for about 2 quarters there to get the ball in the end zone. Those final 2 drives from Carson Wentz, just masterful, being able to move the ball down the field and get the 2 touchdowns that was needed. Man, I don't know what else to say. I guess I can go ahead and exhale. We needed this W tonight. I would not wanted to have done this post-game show with a tough loss to the Giants. But the Eagles, they found a way to pull it out. And who would have thought, guys, can you believe it, at least for a few days, the Eagles are in first place. Woo! Once again this year. Unbelievable.
First place in the NFC East. That is wild. Fran, a huge win tonight, of course, against a division opponent. First place in the NFC East at 2-4-1. That is this year for you right there. Still in it, very much still in it, and a resilient performance to say the least tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you want is at the end of the day, you want this team to be able to get those W's because, you know, no one will remember in December that the win in mid-October was an ugly win, right? Because at the end of the day, this was a really rough performance, especially offensively. Defensively, giving up some of those drives late in the game, even the one late, that final touchdown. I mean, that was a back-breaking drive. So for the offense and the defense to bounce back after that, come away with this victory, for sure. That is something that you can build off of moving forward. You've got the mini bye here this weekend. You got the full weekend off. Hopefully this team can start to get healthy and start to build off of that. Look, this was not a pretty win. Obviously, there was a lot that they will need to improve on coming out of this matchup. But like I said at the beginning, there's no such thing as an ugly win in the NFL. At the end of the day, you get the W, you move on to next week, you start to build off that moving forward as you try and hold on to this lead here in the NFC East.
So, of course, the score here doesn't necessarily tell the full story, as it rarely does, Fran, like you said. Let's look at the offensive numbers here. A lot of offense for this Eagles team. 442 yards, and they controlled the clock 32 minutes compared to the Giants 27-22. In the first half, though, the Eagles dominated the time of possession. 20 minutes in the first half belonged to the Eagles, and yet it was still close at the half. So I'm sure a lot for them to build on from this. But 96 rushing yards for the Eagles. Run game not working as much tonight, Ike, without Miles Sanders as they would have hoped. But Boston Scott, man, something about him against the Giants. Of course, he had the game-winning touchdown there through the air, but also a big contributor on the ground as well tonight.
Yeah, you know, the Eagles continue the tradition versus this New York Giants team, which is having a giant killer on the roster. Is when it's been B. West in the past, and now it seems like it's Boston Scott. In his 3 games versus the Giants, you're looking at roughly over 300 yards from scrimmage and 5 touchdowns in just 3 games versus the Giants for Boston Scott. You know, it was tough sledding, trying to run the football. I think it had more to do with the offensive line and their inability to be able to establish the line of scrimmage and get some push up front. They looked very good on that first drive in the first half. And then after that, you didn't have much success running the football until those final 2 drives of the game, where you may have caught the Giants expecting a passing play and the Eagles were able to hit them with some draws. And like you said, getting Boston Scott behind that huge offensive line, it just makes it difficult to see him. And he has a knack for staying low to the ground. And I like his toughness when running the football. He rarely goes down with first contact, and he likes to spin off of would-be tacklers. So, Boston Scott, once again, showing that his worth to the team may not necessarily show up in the stat sheet, but when you need him, particularly against this team, he knows how to come through for you in the clutch.
Well, and he was the team's top rusher tonight with 46 yards on the ground and then another 46 and the touchdown through the air. So pretty solid night for Boston Scott. Fran, Ike mentioned the offensive line. This is a unit that we saw struggle tonight. Saved that first drive where the Eagles went right down the field, scored a touchdown, but they continue to struggle. Lane Johnson kind of in and out of this game. Carson Wentz. I think he gets so much credit here for continuing to battle despite being hit. 10 quarterback hits that the Giants had, 3 sacks, and he just continues to fight to elude the pass rush, to elude the guys who are in his face, and give this team a chance to win. I think he gets a lot of credit tonight. I think he smoothed over a lot of other weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly gets credit for what he did, especially on those final couple drives and leading the team to victory. Obviously, he's got to clean up some of those things, too, because he had some negative plays of his own. Obviously, that interception, he had a couple of other negative plays that could have been interceptions. He ran into a couple of sacks. There was the intentional grounding penalty as well, where the ball's got to come out. I think there were things for him to clean up in this game. But as you mentioned, the Eagles, they're not playing with a full deck right now, right? I mean, you look at what they're missing from a skill position standpoint. Once again, another offensive line combination that they're still trying to figure out. You got a lot of young pieces playing up front, so still trying to figure things out. But I think ultimately, when you look at the performance of Carson Wentz, resiliency is a great word to be able to use. His ability to fight through that adversity, it's not always going to be pretty. This one certainly was not, but the ability to come out and finish strong is certainly a quality that you want from your starting quarterback and from your whole team. We know the quarterback sets the pulse of the entire roster.
Absolutely. Well, I have a long list of takeaways here, but Ike, I'm going to start with you because this is your segment in the postgame show. Let's get to your takeaways. What's the first one you want to talk about tonight?
Well, let me get the one negative takeaway out of the way, just because I know it's a victory, but I can't overlook some of the things that Fran just touched on as it pertains to Carson playing the quarterback position. I thought at times in that first half, there were opportunities there that he missed on, and you certainly can't force the issue. Against a team like the New York Giants, you have to be patient. You can't force the issue, and when you're in scoring range, you have to make sure at a bare minimum you walk away with at least a field goal attempt. And that interception in the first half to Bradbury was just a play that Carson Wentz can't make. He's been around this game far too long. He's had far too much success. And that was just a moment where he had a lapse in judgment and really went back to playing hero ball. And it really could have turned out to hurt the team late in this game if they didn't pull out this victory. That would have been the play everyone was talking about. He has to do a better job of just eliminating those types of plays from his game. I can take the overthrows because quarterbacks are going to miss throws. And when you're hit as much as he's hit, I think at times you're going to see ghosts in the pocket and leave the pocket when you're not supposed to. I can accept that, but I can't accept the throw that he tried to make to John Hightower. When you're in scoring range and you need points there, he has to clean that up. So I wanted to get that takeaway out of the way first, because that's something that I know Doug and even Carson himself will be thinking about tonight, and I'm glad he bounced back from it. But those are the types of plays, if this team is going to have any chance of going on any type of win streak, he has to find a way to get those out of his game. He does far too many good things to have those type of plays still be in his game.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And we know when these guys watch the film, yes, we're excited now they got the win, but when they watch the film, they're going to see things that they want to improve on, that they think they could have done better, and points that were left out there. That was actually one of my categories, was points that were left out there. We're talking about a red zone interception, a red zone, a failed fourth down, and Boston Scott actually is about to address the media. He's at the podium, so let's take a look.
Hey, Boston, thanks for taking the time today. We'll get started with Bo Wolf and then Dave Zangaro.
Boston, I guess, take us through that touchdown, the game-winning play. What's the play called? What's your route? And did you expect the ball to come to you there?
I don't know if I can say the play call, but I just checked my protection, and then after that, I got out in the space. I knew throughout the game we had been running, short routes into the flat and Peppers was coming out with me into the flat pretty much every time. And on that one, I just kind of set it up, and then he went to me, so that was cool.
Steve and then John McMullen.
Hey, Boston, this is another big game for you against the Giants. What is it about playing these guys that seems to get you going so well?
It's just the next. It's the next game. I love playing football, so it doesn't really matter who it is. I just like going out there and being able to contribute to the team.
John and then Rob Motti.
Hey, Boston. Obviously, you guys were down 21-10. What does it mean to show that resiliency in the final 5 minutes to score 2 touchdowns? What does that do for the confidence of this team?
Yeah, it just says a lot about this team. Like I said, in past weeks, it's never been a matter of want to. It's never been a matter of effort. It's never been a matter of fight. You know what I'm saying? It's just those little things that, have caused us to fall short. So, as long as we're, firing on all cylinders and dialed into the little things, I don't think there's many teams that can really stop us. We just have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. And as we go and look back at the film, I'm sure there's, plenty of ways that we did that. But the guys never stop fighting, and that's never going to change.
Boston, what was it like in the huddle when you guys are down 11 and Carson's trying to bring you guys back? And what does it say about his leadership? He made some throws that I'm sure he wishes he had back, but then at the end, at crunch time, he made those throws and you make that catch at the end.
Yeah, we never faltered, man. Our mindset, we were never like panicking or frustrated or whatever. We just always knew that, we were going to find a way to win this game. And Carson led us. And, like I said, it was a great team effort.
Martin and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, Boston. How frustrating was it for you guys? You guys had, I think, 4 trips into the red zone and only got 3 points out of it. You were down by 11. What was the frustration level like at that point?
Like I said, it obviously, in the game, there's ebbs and flows or whatever. And I wouldn't say we were necessarily frustrated. We don't really have time to be frustrated in this game. So, like I said, just the mindset of this team has always been just continue fighting. Next play. You can't think about, the previous plays and let it affect you for the rest of the game. So we flush it and we just keep fighting.
Ed and then Mike Kay.
Hey, Boston, I jumped on late. I'm sorry. Were you asked to take us through that catch that you made?
Yeah.
You were? Well, let me ask you this then. It looked like it wasn't very easy to run the ball, but Doug stayed committed to the run, I think, over 20 attempts. How much does that mean to the offense to keep at it, even if it's not having success?
Yeah, it was – yeah. Good defensive front. Kudos to them on that. You know what I'm saying? But it keeps them honest. So it was good.
Mike and then Chris Murray.
Boston, you guys have faced a lot of adversity this season. What does Doug Pederson do on a play-by-play, on a sideline moment that keeps you guys together and not kind of questioning his play calling or what's going on in the game, et cetera?
I mean, we're all close knit, man. We all know that it's never just one person's fault for anything. That's just the way that's the nature of this game, and so we're never gonna point the finger at one person, because we know we're all in this together. At the end of the day, it's a W or an L, and everybody takes that L or everybody takes that W, and so we just as we face more adversity, we come closer together, and we're gonna rock with whoever's there, no matter what. That's our MO.
We'll take one more here with Chris Murray.
Boston, can you talk about Carson's toughness tonight? I mean, he was getting hit a lot, and he just kept getting up and just kept leading you guys downfield.
Yeah, he's a tough dude, man. Real tough dude, man. He battles day in and day out, man, and it's not just in the game, man. All throughout the week, man, he's a true professional, true leader. He does what he's supposed to do, man, and so his toughness is wild, and I got a lot of respect for him.
Thanks, Boston.
Thank you.
All right, Boston Scott saying, we never faltered, we never panicked. Carson led us. It was a true team win. Ike, let's get back to your takeaways. But first, I just have to say, Boston Scott still got the pads on in this press conference tonight. He came straight out to talk to the people.
Listen, Boston said, I got things to do, man. I got to get up out of here. Y'all ain't going to have me here all night.
All right, let's get back to your takeaways. Let's move to the positive ones.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's the man of the hour, Carson Wentz. I mean, you got to go straight to him and what he was able to do. His ability to continue to lead this team. It was great hearing Boston Scott talk about what it was like being on the sideline as an offense with him, what it was like being in the huddle, and the fact that no one had wavered, no one's confidence had waned, that they still believed that they had an opportunity. And don't think for a minute that the way they played last week to end that game versus Baltimore didn't play a part in the end of this game, and the fact that these guys knew that if they could just get a positive play or two going, they would have the ability to come back in this game. And it started with number 11. Again, his confidence never seemed to be shaken. I know he was frustrated, but the fact that he kept plugging away, and I love the throw to John Hightower. Man, I mean, he came back to what seemed like the same play that he and Hightower couldn't connect on last week versus Baltimore. They connected this week, and I love the way he continues to show confidence in these young guys. He realizes he's going to need them if this offense is going to have any success. And no matter what happens, if they drop a pass, if he overthrows them, I love the communication and connection between he and his offensive receivers and tight ends. I mean, Richard Rodgers tonight. I never thought Richard Rodgers would have the ability to catch 8 balls for 85 yards. He was a huge target for Carson Wentz tonight. But yeah, just the way Carson has been able to lead this team the last 2 games, particularly to a victory this week, I think it just continues to show everyone that you just got to hang in there with him. It may not be pretty for 4 quarters, but this guy is a fighter, and if there is a chance that you can win a football game, he's going to be there to try to see it through. And that's all you can ask for as a teammate, and that's all you should ask for as a fan base, is you want a guy that's going to go out there and fight to the end and give you a chance to win.
I think that's a great point. And looking at the stat sheet here, 10 different players caught passes tonight from Carson Wentz. You mentioned Richard Rodgers. He was the team's leading receiver, 85 yards. John Hightower, 1 catch tonight, 59 yards. A lot to be excited about there. And of course, Travis Fulgham, again, a go-to guy for Carson Wentz, caught 5 passes on 11 targets, 73 yards. I feel like I could talk for a long time about all 3 of those guys. But Fran, let's talk about some of those guys. You know, Carson spreading the ball around to a lot of different guys stepping up in the place of injured players, stepping up to contribute, and Carson Wentz leading the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great stat that he threw passes to 10 different receivers tonight. I know coming into the week, per NFL research, he had thrown passes to more receivers than anybody in the entire NFL. So you just talk about the turnover that the Eagles have had on offense throughout the course of this season with all the guys in and out of the lineup. But I think when you look at Carson, it's kind of ironic. This week on the Journey to the Draft podcast, we talked about a performance from Carson when he was at North Dakota State with Eagles area scout Sean Heinlein. And it was a game against Northern Iowa where he did not play well in that game. He did not have his best game. He had a couple of turnovers. He missed some throws, but he came back. 2-minute drive led them to win the football game against Northern Iowa, and that was a game that stuck with that scout Sean Heinlein about, this guy's got the goods for the next level, because you need that ability to fight through adversity if you're going to play. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be positive, but can you rebound from that? And I thought it was kind of ironic that we talked about that this week on the show, and we got to see it come to fruition here this Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested now to see Carson Wentz's fourth quarter numbers and this Eagles offense fourth quarter numbers, because just thinking back over the last few weeks, it feels like a switch flips in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden these guys start moving the ball down the field, and it's very stressful to me sometimes, as exciting as it is as well. Ike, let's get to your final point here as we continue breaking this one down.
Yeah, I don't want to leave the defense out of this, Amy and Fran. I thought the defense, listen, they had a couple bad drives there. You certainly can't give up a 97-yard touchdown drive. But the fact that they were able to take the ball away from this Giants offense, I believe, 3 times tonight, that's a good sign. And the Giants offense couldn't get anything going for the majority of this game. So I thought the defense played well. I thought they got after Daniel Jones. And I want to throw Doug in there as a part B to my final takeaway from the game, because I thought Doug came out with a great game plan. Get Deshaun Jackson involved in the game. I don't know how many times we've come down and scored on the opening drive of a game, but they were able to do it tonight. And a lot of it was due to some different things they were doing to get Deshaun Jackson involved in the game. And so I thought that set a good tempo for this team. They certainly piled up the yardage in between the 20s. The score didn't necessarily reflect it after the first half. But, man, has there been a game this year where the Eagles, from a yardage standpoint, time of possession, first down, I don't think they've dominated a team through the first 30 minutes of the game the way they did with the Giants. And that's a direct correlation to the head coach having his team ready to go on a short week.
Yeah, Fran, look, that was something we talked about in the pregame show. Just the success that Doug Pederson has on Thursday nights, but almost just how it forces you to move a little faster, think a little simpler, be a little clearer. We joked that our show was super clean because we were just a little more focused. They had a little less time to kind of get in our heads too much. It seemed like, I think that's a great correlation that Ike brought up, that first drive, look, they came out, they had a great game plan ready to go. Deshaun Jackson has a couple of catches, and they end up with 7 points.
Yeah, and I think it also will, guys, point to some of the stats that really matter at the end of the day, because as much as they dominated, it was still a 3-point game going into the locker room. So I think when you look at it, the lack of success in the red zone, that's an important stat. That's an important area of the game, and that's why the Eagles spend so much time on situational football. You talk about third down, you talk about red zone. You have to be able to win in those money downs, in those situations, in order to really take control of a game. So I think when you look at what the Eagles were able to do, it was great that they were able to control the football, control the clock. But when they gave the ball back to New York went one play and scored. Golden Tate scores that touchdown, and that really kind of flips it and gives New York a little bit of momentum, keeps that game tight. The Eagles, going out of this one, they've got to be better in the red zone, and that had not been really an issue for them throughout the course of the season, but they have to get better in the red zone moving forward coming out of this game.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I was mentioning it earlier when Boston Scott joined us, Ike, that when they look back at this film, I think they're going to see that there were some points left out there. You mentioned the failed fourth down attempt in the red zone interception from Carson Wentz, and then what shook me to my core was Jake Elliott missing a 29-yard field goal. I hope he's doing okay. I've never seen anything like this from him, but that's a decent amount of points left out there, and I think this team is going to want to address those things.
Yeah, for sure, Amy. I mean, had they not won this game, I don't know if anybody would have slept tonight. that plays for the Eagles or that's on that coaching staff, because you can't dominate a team like they did in the first half and only be ahead by 3 points. And I mean, they dominated them both offensively and defensively in that first half and was only ahead 10-7. Those are the type of things that keep you up all night. And I think not having Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert out there as part of this red zone package, you really notice that tonight, because they typically are a good red zone football team, but without their top 2 tight ends to be able to get the ball to, it seemed like Carson wasn't decisive in where he wanted to go with the football. They tried to find some mismatches with the new kid, Buckner, and Carson couldn't hook up with Fulgham twice in the red zone. But Carson likes to throw the ball over the middle of the field in that red zone, and it's usually to Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert. And I think that's what we saw tonight. They just weren't necessarily comfortable down there with the offense. I mean, with the quarterback and the receivers.
Fran, I want to get your take, actually both of your takes, but we'll start with you, Fran. So, we talk about this defense. I was expecting to see a dominant defensive performance against statistically one of the worst offenses in the league, and it felt like, especially in the second half, the Giants were able to move the ball pretty well. Did they just start clicking? Like, what did they do that allowed them to suddenly start moving the ball so well on this Eagles defense?
I mean, you get the 90-yard run for sure by Daniel Jones. I mean, that kind of flips it in terms of giving them a big play that put them into. I mean, you have one of those breakdowns, and that obviously will add to that yardage. The bigger one was the 97-yard touchdown drive that Ike had referenced earlier. I mean, that was the one that was kind of back-breaking. You had a 3rd and 8 where they were able to get 8 yards. You had a 3rd and 7 where they're able to get 7 yards. Those are the ones where it's like, man, you get off the field there, one of 3 or 4 chances, and now you keep the 7 points off the board. You keep that game close. Obviously, it didn't. At the end of the game, the Eagles were able to come back and win. But it's those kind of drives that you don't expect to necessarily happen. That's why Doug Pederson feels confident.
All right,
in
Fran,
being
I
able
hate
to
to interrupt you, but Jalen Mills is ready to speak to the media. Let's listen.
Hey, Jalen, thanks for taking the time. We'll get started here with Jeff McLean and then John Clark.
Jalen, when you guys scored an offense to narrow the lead to 5, I think it was, what was the defensive, attitude heading back on the field, knowing you had to stop them again?
Yeah, I mean, we all huddled up. Schwartz kind of talked to us, and basically like, hey, it's gonna come down to us. Getting one more stop if we have to, getting 2 more stops. Giving the offense the ball because they were starting to click, and I mean that's what happened. And the end result is, now we're number 1 in NFC East.
John Clark and then Paul Domowitch.
Hey, Jalen, after the defense gave up that long touchdown drive, I think it was 97 yards, and then Carson is able to lead the offense on those 2 long drives. What have you seen from your quarterback these last 2 fourth quarters, Sunday and tonight?
Adversity doesn't faze him. At the end of the day, he trusts the guys around him to make plays, and he trusts in himself as well. I think the biggest thing with Carson is he's getting more consistent and knowing that we're going to play tight games, and he's, like I said, he's going to trust the guys around him.
I think you are muted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good now.
Oh, y'all want me to repeat that?
Could you? We lost your audio. Sorry, Jalen.
Yeah, I said nothing. Just that he trusts the guys around him and he trusts in himself. We've been playing tight games. And, I mean, just knowing that the guys around him, and he's our leader, that he's going to keep doing his thing.
Paul Domowitch and then E.J. Smith.
Hey, Jalen. I know you didn't see BG's strip sack, but,
I seen it.
Huh?
I said I seen it.
I thought you would be covering your man and have your head back to – anyway, I mean, you needed a big play then. You needed a big play 3 years ago in that Super Bowl, and BG seems to give you one when you needed one. Talk about what he means to that defense.
That's one of the reasons why BG is a captain on his team, a leader on his team, because he is a guy who just goes out there and does his job. He's not a guy who's trying to force plays. He lets the plays come to him, and just for some reason, he always a guy who comes up clutch in the fourth quarter for us.
We have time for 2 more, and we'll get Coach in here, so we'll go EJ and then Martin.
Hey, Jalen, could you just walk us through the interception you made? What did you see on that play? What do you remember from it?
Yeah, it was we were in kind of a bluff coverage. I I was looking at the quarterback. I seen he gave Ingram some type of hand signal. Knew that, of course, he was checking to him. Just got a really good drop in coverage. He dropped the ball and, just ran on the ball and made the interception.
Go ahead, Martin.
Hey, Jalen. On Daniel Jones's 80-yard run, what was kind of like the breakdown there? What did you see?
Man, he's a guy like he's the leading rusher, man. Kind of got a clue in on him. He didn't have any keeps, all game, and they just got a good call at the right time. So you just got to tip your head off. They had a good one time for the bad guys. So.
Thanks, Jalen.
Yep, thank you.
Peace.
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time. We'll get started here with Bo Wolf and then Dave Zangaro.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Doug, what did you make of Carson's performance tonight?
Man, I thought he hung in there. I thought he battled, face of adversity, down a couple scores there in the fourth quarter, and really hung in there. And it wasn't. Maybe on the stat sheet things look good, but there's some throws and there's some decisions I think he would want back. But I tell you what, he's the leader of our team for a reason, and you saw that tonight, leading our team down there to get that the two scores late in the game. But overall, hung in there, played tough again tonight.
Dave and then John McMullen.
Hey, Doug, what's your anxiety level like watching Carson take those hits? And are you confident that he's going to be able to make the plays even despite some of the breakdowns in pass protection?
Yeah, you don't want your quarterback to be hit, the amount of times he has here in the last couple of weeks. But again, we're playing some good fronts, and we got to figure out and do a better job of protecting him. And then he has to do a better job too, either throwing the ball away or trying to escape with his legs. But we know there's going to be a hit a time or two, and that's part of playing quarterback. And he's a tough guy, and he's hanging in there.
John McMullen and then Zach Berman.
Hey, Doug. Looks like you were clicking early with tempo, and then things slowed down until about 6 minutes left in the game. What do you think? What do you think kick-started the offense, and what do you think were some of those red zone issues in the middle of the game?
Well, the red zone is something we got to look at. This is the first game where we struggled a little bit in the red zone, and listen, credit the guys. We got down there a few times, and it's one of the things you can't do when you're down there is obviously turn the ball over. Can't have sacks, can't have penalties, and we had a little bit of all those tonight, and yet we were still able to overcome it. We're going to take a look at it over the weekend and be better there.
Zach and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Doug, after Jason Kelsey's penalty pushes you back to 1st and 18 there, or 1st and goal from the 18, what was the plan there as far as the play calling, and did you want to get it all in one play on that pass to Boston Scott?
Well, the goal was to ultimately score. We had to score the touchdown, and I believe we still had the 2 timeouts, so we had plenty of time. Obviously had field position. So the actual down and distance didn't matter at the time. It was still first down. We were going to use our timeouts when necessary. And our guys overcame it. And in Boston, they finished off that drive with a great throw, great catch. It was a great way to end that drive.
Jeff and then Les.
Doug, speaking of overcoming, you guys overcame that 4th down play on the corner fade to Hakeem Butler. Was he the read there, the first read there? Can you describe what went into your thinking on that play?
Initially he was going, he was heading to the wrong side of the field. When he got back over to the right side of the field or the right side of the formation, he was uncovered. And when we snapped the ball, the defender had gotten back over there just in enough time to really knock the ball away. He's a big athletic guy, and we put that play in specifically for him, and the Giants made a play.
Les and then Nick Fierro.
Hey, Doug. It looked like for so long there in the second half, your offense was just totally stifled. And then once you're down 11, it sprung to life. What happened there? Did you change what you were? Did you make some different play calls? Was it, what happened to make this to get the offense back in gear?
I mean, we always evaluate, between series, how a defense is defending, and we make some subtle adjustments and try to put some guys in position. This is all part of game planning and part of in-game adjustments, and we were able to do that. We knew once we got down, the 2 scores, we were going to be in 2-minute mode anyway, and our guys just made some plays. We made a deep throw there to John Hightower that helped us eventually score, and made a couple other nice throws. Rich Rod, came up big for us on a scramble play, and you're just going to need some of that stuff, when you're in that situation. But we were in 2-minute mode anyway, with about 6 or 7 minutes to go in the game, knowing we were down 2 scores just to get us back in the game.
Nick and then John Clark.
Hi, Doug. You had 2 guys that came back from injuries today that got injured again with new injuries. Deshaun, Lane Johnson, 2 big parts of your offense. How does your team react to so many injuries like that? And do you have any kind of update on them?
I don't have any updates right now. Probably get more tomorrow, or at least through the weekend, with some time off for the players this weekend. And it's really good to get those 2 guys back, and Deshaun was active in the game early, and tried to continue to get him some touches as the game went on, and then having Lane back, really he was in, he got knocked out for a play or 2, came back, played really tough as well. So both of those guys, so it was really a shot in the arm for the offense to get those guys back.
We have time for 2 more, so we'll go John Clark and Chris Franklin.
Doug, in the history of this league, a lot of people judge quarterbacks, sometimes their greatness, on comebacks. What has Carson showed you the last couple of weeks, leading you guys to 34 points in the 4th quarter, and maybe taking that step in the pressure moments?
Well, it just shows that he's taken that step in the right direction to be one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and you're absolutely right. I mean, quarterbacks sometimes get measured by 4th quarter comebacks. I know that's part of a stat that gets recorded, and he he's done that. The last couple of weeks we've put ourselves in position to really either tie the game a week ago, and of course this week win the game, and it's what it takes. I mean, especially in the situation that we are, health-wise as a team, we know these games are going to be probably closer than we would like, but it is good to see your quarterback stand in there, go toe-to-toe, take some shots, and still lead your team down the field for the win.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Doug. Jake Elliott missed that 29-yard field goal earlier in the game. From your vantage point, was there anything wrong with the mechanics of the whole entire field goal operation there, and did it affect any of your decisions later on in the game?
No, there was nothing wrong. Just a little bit of a pull, by Jake. It's uncharacteristic of him, especially at that distance. Still got a lot of confidence in Jake, and I'll put him back out there, and in any of those situations again.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
All right, great stuff there from the head coach. A couple of interesting points. I thought it was really interesting how he talked about, look, playing in these types of close games, we know where we are health-wise. These games are going to be a bit closer than we like, and that's why this team has the resilience and the fight that it does. Another thing I thought that was really interesting about what he said was, look, you need some of that stuff. Talking about the deep ball to John Hightower and Richard Rodgers coming up there. He called him Rich Rod. Coming up there with some big plays. You need some of that stuff in 2-minute mode, which we were for the last 6-7 minutes of the game, knowing that they needed 2 scores. So just seeing this team shine really when the game is on the line. And on Carson Wentz saying, I thought he hung in there, faced adversity and battled, but there are some areas where he needs to improve. He knows it. We know it. We're going to go in there and we're going to get it fixed. So love to see that toughness there. From the head coach as well. All right, Fran, I'm going to bring in Fran Duffy again to continue this conversation. Any takeaways from what we heard from the head coach there? I thought the interesting thing about being in the 2-minute offense in the last 6-7 minutes, and look how you just kind of need guys to step up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all comes down to is, the old saying that playmakers make plays, right? And that's what the Eagles need, some playmakers to kind of evolve, right? And some of these young guys have to grow up quickly in the current state of affairs with this roster right now with all of the injuries. But to me, the biggest takeaway, too, was him just talking about Carson Wentz and his resiliency and the fourth quarter comeback. It's funny, as he was talking about that, I was thinking that one thing that a lot of fans, around the NFL would always compare, because Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, obviously being division rivals, are always going to be compared. In Dak Prescott's favor, people would always point to those fourth quarter comebacks. Well, Carson Wentz, for most of his career, was not really in a position to have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks, right? Because a lot of those wins in 2017 were, dominant victories. They didn't necessarily have that ability, but now for him to be able to stack up a couple is also a good thing to see for sure.
That's a great point. And John Clark just tweeted this this great stat. In the last 2 games, in the fourth quarter, Carson Wentz has 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's 34 points and 214 yards. So he, if anything, has shown that when the game is on the line in the fourth quarter, especially in the last 2 weeks, but I feel like really this season that he's been able to put it together. We also heard from Jalen Mills. Mills had a pretty good night tonight. 3 tackles, 1 interception, and a quarterback hit. Of course, one of the 2 turnovers for the Eagles. What did you like about his performance?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's always going to be around the football. When he's playing at that safety spot, he's got the ability to come down and defend the run. He can be used as a blitzer. He's been very active getting after the quarterback. That quarterback hit forced an incompletion, I believe, on 3rd down. So certainly it was a playmaker in the game. I'm going to be breaking down his interception for the All-22 review that'll go up on PhiladelphiaEagles.com tomorrow. So I think when you look at his day overall, I'm excited to dig into the film because that really tells the story for the defensive backs, but excited to see the performance in the All-22.
Well, and Mills also was asked about Brandon Graham's performance tonight. Brandon Graham had a heck of a game. Of course, I have it written down, giant killer BG sack fumble game. Coming up with a big play when the big play is needed. The sack fumble as well, but he also had a quarterback hit, a tackle for a loss, and let's see. Three solo tackles in tonight's game. But a guy who is always making plays, especially when the game is on the line, to come up with a big play like that to seal the win for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, and Brandon Graham, I mean, he's one of the heart and souls of this team, right? And when you look at what he can do, not just getting after the quarterback, he had a couple of sacks last week against Lamar Jackson, but also defending the run. You see him making plays in pursuit all the time. So he is the guy that is one of the guys that sets the tone for not just the defense, but for the entire roster. Doug Pederson talked about that in that press conference, that there's a reason why he's a captain, right? And I think when you look at Brandon Graham, he is the guy that a lot of people look to in that locker room. He's got, I believe, 6 sacks so far this season, and it's still early, so he's on pace to potentially break his career record. So excited to kind of see that for BG moving forward. Hope to see that he can get some of those national accolades that he so much deserves.
Absolutely deserves it. Look, as long as we're giving out accolades on defense, I would just like to give a shout out to Alex Singleton, who had 5 tackles tonight and 2 quarterback hits. One basically took out Devontae Freeman and the quarterback in one swift hit. This guy is becoming a bigger and bigger contributor in this Eagles defense, in the linebacking group. And man, that was a play I could watch again and again and again and again.
I think he should get 2 hits on that one. I think that should go down in the box score as a couple. But he also, Amy, showed up on special teams as well, and it continues to make an impact in that side of the game as well. Look, I think when you look at Alex Singleton, since being plugged into the lineup against San Francisco due to the injury to TJ Edwards, he's consistently been around the football. One of the things that I like most about him, he's really quick to get downhill against the run game. Very, very fast to get down there, and he shows a little bit of a knack for defeating blocks, and he always plays like his hair's on fire. So, when you have a guy that sees things quickly, has the burst to be able to get downhill, and then the violence to be able to finish, you're cooking with gas there at the linebacker position, especially when you're talking about defending the run, and that's where he has shown up time and time again. Was a very productive player in the CFL before making his return to the NFL here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and a guy beloved in the locker room for playing with his hair on fire at all times and taking no plays off. But also, he's just the kind of guy, you can tell how much he loves to play the game. Has taken advantage of the opportunity to the injuries and the lack of depth at the linebacker position. He's had the chance to make a name for himself here, and he's been taking advantage of that. How have you seen him develop and continue to carve out a role for himself in this defense?
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, most often there's going to be two linebackers on the field. So, between Alex Singleton, you've got Nate Gary, Duke Riley made his return from injury tonight. TJ Edwards is still on the mend. You have a couple of young guys there, and Sean Bradley and Davion Taylor, who saw a lot of reps last week. So I think when you look at that group, everybody's still kind of fighting for playing time, but Alex Singleton has continued to prove that he deserves more and more and more. We'll see what the final snap counts were when they get released on Friday morning. But I think when you look at Singleton, he's improved every single week, and he's done what you could ask him to do. It's not always perfect. There were times watching the film against Baltimore last week where he did get taken out of his gap, whether it was by backfield action or something that was going that kind of took him away from the football. But more often than not, he's done a really nice job, and he's come downhill. He's been able to finish tackles. I can't think of any missed tackles that he's had so far this season. So he continues to impress, and as he continues to do that, he'll earn more and more playing time.
Well, and the linebacker group is the group that continues to get questions from the outside. Nate Gary tonight had one of the 3 sacks as well. We mentioned Brandon Graham. Derek Barnett had the other one. And speaking of Brandon Graham, here he is ready to talk to the media.
Smile today.
Hey, BG, thanks for taking the time. We'll get started with Mike Sealski and then Rob Motti.
Hi, Brandon. This is not the same team really that won the Super Bowl. There's been a lot of turnover. There's even been some turnover since last year. What is it about? What is the quality that this team has that you guys really just don't give up? I mean, you rallied last week. You rallied the week before that. You obviously rallied tonight. What is it about you guys that stays in a game that it looks like you're going to lose?
We just keep on fighting. We don't worry about the past. We try to stay futuristic. As far as hey, it is what it is. Now what we gonna do? And so I think people taking on that approach, and I'm loving it because we fight to the end. But I mean, I'm telling you, some of that stuff that's happening to us right now, it's gonna start changing. Because I really do feel like our team is getting stronger as every week, and every week that confidence is growing. We finally pulled one at the end, and I mean, how tough it is in this league to win games, and so for us to rally back, 6 minutes to go, luckily with the drop that Evans gave us, Ingram gave us, I was, we took advantage of that opportunity, so I'm thankful for that.
Go Rob Motti and then Ed Benkin.
BG, obviously this doesn't compare to the strip sack of Brady in the Super Bowl, but if you guys go on to do something special this season, you getting Jones there at the end to seal the win is such a big deal, momentum changer, game sealer. How badly did you want that, and what did that do for you guys as you can try to build some momentum now?
Well, I believe what you just said, man. It's gonna change our season around. I do feel that. I believe that. I think that every week we're gonna continue to build on what we're doing, and next up is the Cowboys. But I do think that it's a confidence boost for our team to let us know that no matter what, we still in this thing, and we just got to keep fighting and keep believing and keep working on those little things that tend to sneak up on us, in these games. So, yeah.
Ed Benkin and then Ed Kratz.
Hi, Brandon. How much are the younger players learning from games like this, and how much are you and the rest of the veterans enjoying kind of getting the message across them about staying together and seeing the results from this?
It's really good for them because they're going through a lot of adversity their first years with COVID, the stuff that we got to do for COVID, and then what's been happening on that field. It's only making us stronger each and every week. And I feel like what Coach say, we battle tested. All the things that tend to go wrong in these games, we always find a way to rally back. Sometimes we come up short in the end, but things are going to start clicking for us. And I think that it started with the Giants tonight. It was a ugly win, but at the end of the day, a win is a win, and we can continue to build off of it.
We'll go Ed Kratz and then Martin Frank.
Hey, BG, that sack was your first of the night. I mean, what is it when you get into the fourth quarter? Do you elevate your game? I mean, does the adrenaline start to flow a little bit more later into the fourth quarter? I mean, how do you explain being there, at that point in the game when, throughout much of the game, I guess you didn't get home?
Well, you know what? The first thing I talked about on the sideline with Jordan Mailata, he had said something to me that sparked me. He was like, act like Emerson's watching, my baby girl. You know what I'm saying? She'd be excited for me and give her something to be proud of. And so it was just cool that I made that play, but he said that to me before I went out there. And so, man, I'm telling you, it's just something about the end of the games with the rotation that we have. You feel stronger. You just can't wait because you in a pass situation, and all you got to do is make a couple moves, get to the quarterback, hoping that he holds the ball. And he held the ball right there, went straight for the ball. Thank you, B-Dog, because B-Dog definitely went for the ball, thinking about you. And instead of going just for the sack, went for the ball, and we changed the whole game and ended the game with that.
We have time for two more, so we'll go Martin and then Mike K.
Hey, Brandon. There was a long stretch like in the middle of the game where the offense, couldn't convert. They had a lot of trips into the red zone and, came away without any points. How much pressure does that put on the defense? And then do you guys talk about that at all?
It's not really pressure. It's just all about just helping. Like the way we talk about it is, let's go put the offense in a better position. They didn't get it done, but we gonna go get it done. And the ball's coming right back. And so that's kind of the message every time things happen, sudden changes happen in the game, or we didn't pick up a fourth down, and Jake missed the kick. So we just had to make sure that we put ourselves in a position, for the offense to win. And so it's just we talking positive all the time to each other, trying to keep the negative out. And despite what's going on in the game, we always talk about don't let it be us on defense. And so with that mentality, I think it's been working for us. We just gotta continue to fine tune little things, but that happens as the season goes on.
Last one here with Mike, and then we'll get Carson.
Hey, Brandon, I know you're not big on individual accolades, but I know when you signed your extension, you wanted to have 3 seasons of 10 sacks or more and make the Pro Bowl. Right now, you've got 6 sacks through 7 games. That's a pretty good pace. What's different this year? What's got you playing so well?
I think, just really taking on my nutrition this year more serious than I ever have. Feeling good. Body's feeling really good right now. I feel fast. And then with our rotation, that's helping a lot. I don't feel like I'm taking on a lot of beating from these games because, I got chipped a lot of times today, and, that could wear on your body a little bit. But it's cool when you got a good rotation of guys that you can count on because in that fourth quarter when you need to play, I felt like, I felt in the first quarter. So I felt hungry and ready to go make a play, and I'm thankful that they in the back end, took away his reads, and, I was able to get there.
Did you have a view of Daniel Jones falling?
You say a what?
Did you get to see him falling?
Oh, well, yeah, I seen him fall, and I seen that ball fall first before anything. But I was happy that I was able to, make that play for the team.
Thanks, BG.
Thank you.
All right, Brandon Graham saying he's basically circling this game as a turning point, already calling it for this team tonight, saying, I think this changes things. I think we're really starting to click, and especially having a comeback is huge for the young guys. And let's listen to the man who led that comeback for this Eagles offense. Carson Wentz is at the podium.
Hey, Carson, thanks for taking the time. We'll get started here with Nick Fierro and Bo Wolf.
Hi, Carson. The game had a lot of ebbs and flows there. I know it didn't. It worked out for you at the end. I wanted to ask about the penalty with Jason Kelce. It backed you up. It seemed maybe devastating at the time, but do you think it maybe gave you a little extra room to get some receivers open and go more vertical?
I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. I don't know what happened on the penalty, but I mean, obviously being down there, that was a tough penalty to have, and Kelce felt terrible about it. I don't know what happened, but we had to find a way to make a play, and sure enough, the next play we did. But I wouldn't say it was advantageous for us by any means.
Bo and then Les.
Carson, we've talked so much about the rotating offensive line. 6 different lines in 7 games now. Do you feel comfortable in the pocket right now?
I do. I think we got to keep mixing up play calls and movements and get the ball out quick and screens and things. And I can be better. I can be better by getting the ball out quicker in certain situations. But, those guys are competing their tails off. And that's the only thing I can always ask for. Mistakes are going to happen. That's what I always say. Guys are going to drop passes. I'm going to throw interceptions. Mistakes are going to happen. And those guys are going to make some mistakes up front too. And so as long as they keep coming back and they're resilient, keep fighting, and that's what I've seen every week now. So I'm proud of those guys and the way they just keep coming along, even when they make mistakes.
Les and then Zach.
Hi, Carson. Can you tell us about the touchdown throw? What you saw, and what it felt like to see Boston end up on the inside of that pylon?
Yeah, it was, he wasn't the primary read on that play, and the way it happened, I stepped up in the pocket, and the guy had pretty good coverage, but, giving Boston a chance there to make a play, and he did. He plays bigger than, whatever he is, 5'7". He plays bigger than that, and he made a great play, and I was pretty surprised we pulled it off. When I threw it, I thought it was a little high, but he, like I said, he plays bigger than he is, and obviously there was a lot of emotions there. It was kind of a big exciting moment, but a big kind of sigh of relief because we know we left a lot of plays out there, but the way we battled and found a way at the end of the game was huge for us.
Zach and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Carson, as a follow-up to that, first and goal from the 23 and you have timeouts, you obviously don't need it all on one play. What were you kind of thinking there? Did you want it all on one play? What's the thought process with that drive?
Yeah, that's a great question, and at the end of the day, it comes down to the play that's called. And the play that was called was to take his shot there, and that's coach's mentality. And we had a couple different guys in the end zone as options, and Boston was the guy it went to with the one-on-one coverage there, and he made a great play. So again, the play call really dictates that, but I love coach's aggressive mentality.
Jeff and John McMullen.
Carson, how are you feeling in terms of the hits? At one point it seemed like Jordan, when he picked you up off the turf, it seemed like the collection of all the hits may have been wearing on you. Can you talk a little about all the pressure and all the hits that you've taken?
Yeah, I feel great because we got the win, and I feel great because we got a long weekend. Those are the things I feel great about. Anytime you play 2 football games in whatever it's been 4 or 5 day stretch, it's tough. It's tough on your body, but the fact that we got a win, the fact that we got a little time off, the body will be just fine.
John and then Martin.
Hey, Carson, it looks like you spread the football around quite a bit today. We've been talking about your kind of immediate chemistry with Travis Fulgham today. Richard Rodgers had a lot of success. What is it about these guys that makes you trust them so easily?
Yeah, a guy like Richard, he's been here before, and we've had a lot of banked reps over the years and worked together, and he's a smart football player. He's been around and been in this league for a long time, and anytime you play a team like the Giants that plays that style of defense with a lot of zone coverages, Richard's a really smart guy and knows where he needs to be and what timing he needs to be there. And so I thought that was advantageous for us, the way they played for Richard to get open, and Greg and Travis and all the guys, like you said, we really spread the ball around well tonight. And, that's the type of offense we need to be, and guys will keep making those plays.
Martin and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, Carson. You started that comeback in late in the fourth quarter with the long pass to John Hightower, and it's kind of the second week in a row that you've hit him with a 50-yard pass or more. Just what kind of connection are you starting to develop with him, and how clutch was that play to Hightower considering the stakes at the time?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It was clutch. It was a huge play in that moment. I believe we were down 2 scores there, and backs against the wall. And John, he keeps putting his speed on tape. He keeps showing up that he can run by defenders and do some things well. And so I'm going to give him and all these guys opportunities down the field when the play call dictates it. And so he made a great play tonight. And I thought he was about to spin out of that and score, but it was a huge play for us. And he's going to keep getting better and better. And I like what I see a lot from him.
Ed Kratz and then Mike Luongo.
Hey, Carson, you said that Boston wasn't the primary on that touchdown throw to him. Who was the primary? What was the progression there?
There's a couple different options. All the guys were, not all the guys, but a lot of them were breaking into the end zone. And just the way it kind of played out, they kind of had bracket coverage on a couple guys, and Boston had one-on-one coverage there down the sideline. So again, it wasn't necessarily he was the primary, but find the guy that has the one-on-one coverage when they play that type of matchup, and we did, and we obviously hit big on it.
We have time for 2 more, so we'll go Mike and then Chris Murray.
Carson, you've engineered a lot of these fourth quarter touchdown rallies, and just what kind of changes in your mind frame when you're able to do this? You did it last week against the Ravens, and the time before that against the Niners as well, and last year as well. Is there any kind of changes in your mindset? And also, what does a game like this do to your team for the rest of the season?
I mean, to answer the latter part of that question, it does a lot for us. It does a lot for our confidence, the way we've really fought to come back in the last couple ball games to actually do it and pull out a win. It's huge for our confidence, and we know it's a divisional game, so it's huge for the NFC East as well. As far as the other question, I mean, we'd love to not be in those situations where our backs are against the wall. You know, we left a lot of plays out there. We were in the red zone a lot and didn't score many points. So those are things we got to clean up and be better. But when our backs are against the wall and we got to make plays, I'm going to give guys all the opportunity in the world to make them. And Coach does a great job of calling the game in those situations. We're playing fast, putting a lot of pressure on the defense, and, you know, we're obviously doing some good things in those situations, and we got to keep building on it. But again, ideally we don't put ourselves in those situations, but when we need it, you know, we've been successful for the most part so far.
Last one here with Chris.
Yeah, Carson, given all the frustration you had with the offense at times tonight, what did you tell your team when you guys were down 21-10 and you had to kind of overcome and get them back on track to win the game?
Yeah, I mean, we said, hey, I mean, there wasn't a lot of time, but we said, hey, there's enough time. There's enough time. We got to just keep believing and just take it one play at a time. Obviously, we were in turbo on the ball, 2-minute mode the rest of the game. But, I mean, the same thing that I echo every game when we're down. Hey, just keep believing, just one play at a time, and the big play is going to hit. It's going to happen, and John had the big one on that first drive, and obviously Boston the second drive. And guys just keep believing and keep rallying together, and that's what it's going to take to win a lot of these ball games.
Thanks, Carson.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that is the Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz after leading his team to a big comeback win tonight to take first place in the NFC East. We are going to take a quick break. We will see you on the other side to give you the nominees for the Toyota Player of the Week and the Ricoh Review. Stay with us. You are watching the Postgame Show presented by Ricoh, and before leaving tonight's game with an injury, Eagles receiver Deshaun Jackson was a key part of the Eagles' first opening drive, scoring a touchdown scoring drive with a couple of big catches there, and one of them is the subject of tonight's Ricoh Review from Fran Duffy. Let's take a look.
All right, so let's look at the very first play of the game, and that is this end around. Carson Wentz going to hand the ball off to Deshaun Jackson on a little gadget play here. And we're going to see Deshaun Jackson, first play back in the lineup here since the early parts of the season. He's going to get this ball on a handoff. But I love what the Eagles do to kind of set this up, because you've got Boston Scott back here in the backfield. This is going to be counter run action. So it's going to be a fake counter play. He's going to step as if he's going right, and he's going to come back left. You're going to get a couple of blocks coming inside. You're going to see that tight end Richard Rodgers, he's going to start moving this way. You're going to get the right guard Nate Herbig, he's going to be pulling this direction. And then you're also going to get the wide receivers starting to block down as well. Everything is going to tell this Giants front seven that it is going to be a run to the left. But you're going to get Deshaun Jackson, once again, going behind the whole formation on orbit motion, and he's going to get this ball from Carson Wentz. The blocks that I want you to watch here are going to be from Travis Fulgham, who's just going to leak out right away, and then Richard Rodgers, who does a nice job. He's going to sell that pull block here
on the counter run, and then he's going to bend back around. So those are going to be the 2 blocks along with Jason Kelce, who's going to get out in front of this play for Deshaun Jackson. We let this roll, and you can see these plays start to develop. Watch Rodgers right here. He's going to make that turnaround. Look at these blocks up at the second level. Those guys all start to hit. Deshaun Jackson runs 12 yards for a first down just to get him into the groove of the game. The offense gets going and leads to a touchdown drive on the opening stanza.
Now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. Tonight's nominees for Toyota Player of the Week: defensive end Brandon Graham, wide receiver Greg Ward, and quarterback Carson Wentz. I think I'm going to go with Greg Ward here. He had a touchdown and 46 yards. Nope, that's the wrong one. A touchdown and 42 yards on 5 catches. Though, can I nominate Boston Scott? What do you guys think? Ike, who's your pick tonight?
Well, for the 3rd week in a row, we got to go with the Bronco. I mean, Carson Wentz. I know he had a rough spot there with a bad interception, but I can't think of many other plays where he wasn't exceptional. And you always got to take into consideration what's around him. And the fact that they were down by 11 points with 6 minutes to go, and those two touchdown drives that he was able to engineer, including the game-winning touchdown drive and the throws that he made, man, it's going to be tough to beat Carson Wentz this week.
What do you think, Fran?
You know, I would say, like, I want to give the vote to BG, give it to Brandon Graham, but I'm going to go with Ike here. I 100% agree. I think when you look at what Carson did late in the 4th quarter to put them in position to win this game, Brandon Graham's sack fumble to seal it doesn't happen without those touchdowns by Carson Wentz. I'm going to go with number 11 as well.
A solid case made by both of you. I can see. Yes, I can see why people would feel that way. All right, let's move ahead to look at the next matchup. The Dallas Cowboys will be in South Philadelphia. Sunday Night Football, a week from Sunday. They will play the Washington football team this weekend. They're currently 2-4, but they've got one more game before they will be here. Of course, this is a 3-game stretch in the division. They most recently lost to the Cardinals on Monday Night Football, 38-10. What do you guys think of this one? Ike, real quick, your thoughts on the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and it's great to be having a chance to rest with a victory. It makes it a lot easier. I'll be excited next Sunday night for that game. Anytime you're playing the Cowboys with first place on the line, what more can you ask for? It'll be at the link. We need to come out the way that we did tonight, but we need to make sure we maintain that for 4 quarters.
Maintain, that is the key. What do you think of this matchup, Fran?
Yeah, I think they have to clean up some of the mistakes we saw from this game. Obviously, the red zone has got to get better. You don't want to be able to turn the ball over against this defense, but because they're starting to get healthy. Some of their guys are starting to get back into the lineup. But yeah, I cannot wait. That's going to be first place on the line next Sunday night here at the Link.
Ooh. First place on the line again. That's how it is around here. That's how we like it. All right, that game, November 1st. Hard to believe it's going to be November 1st. We will be right back here with the kickoff show presented by Exalta. That'll be at 7:35 p.m. As always, 45 minutes to kick off. And then as soon as the game is over, right back here with the postgame show presented by Ricoh. And since this is an Eagles win, you can watch it one more time. Tuesday night, 7 p.m., NBC Sports Philadelphia. See the Eagles take down the New York Giants, the game that we just watched tonight, the replay on Tuesday night. All right, we will be back here in 10 days. It's going to be a little while. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on November 1st, 7:35 p.m. I'll see you then.